Happy New Year, Lee.
Happy New Year.
And
Congratulations
thank
to
you.
the New Year, Lunar New Year.
Yeah, Lunar New Year
awesome.
as well.
2023 is going to be amazing.
I think so. I mean, I've been seeing more and more buyers are coming out. You know, they're now that the holidays are over, and what the comment that I've been receiving is, you know, we've been kind of holding off until the craziness of like last 2 years have passed, and so they're coming out of the woodworks, like asking a whole bunch of questions, excited to look for a home. I just hosted an open house this past weekend, and got a lot of people that are just starting to look.
That's amazing. So, and when they're starting to look, are they pre-approved or pre-qualified?
You know, only one of the couples that I spoke to were pre-approved.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they had a lot of questions of like, where do I start? Like, if I did find this house that I really like, what's the next step?
Right.
So what would you tell them?
I think that's a common misguided thought that a lot of people feel like they don't want to get pre-approved because they're afraid of getting their credit run. Whereas you can be pre-qualified, run all of your estimated numbers before pulling credit, feeling comfortable with your budget, and then that will give them a guide to what type of property they're going to be looking at, whether it's a single family house or a townhouse or a condo, but they have to know their numbers so they can be able to budget accordingly. Whether the down payment, I get a lot of closing costs. People don't know about closing costs. They think the down payment and the closing costs are the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a first-time home buyer, they could come in as little as 3% down, but I always say if they plan on about 2.5% to 2% of the purchase price for closing costs, that will cover everything. And when they think of closing costs, you have non-reoccurring closing costs and reoccurring closing costs. So non-reoccurring closing costs is just like what it sounds. Your loan fees, escrow fees, title, appraisal, credit, those are all just one-time fees. And then reoccurring closing costs would be property taxes, home insurance, interest, PMI if they come in less than 20%. That's another thing.
And there's so many of these terms, and I think oftentimes, especially first-time buyers, get very intimidated about all the terms that they have to know and to figure out the numbers and whatnot. So who do they reach out to help them walk through all of this? I know there's the agent,
right?
But also
there's me, of course. Any local loan officer, I would always say go to your local area first. And Google's always a great research to just start your general, what is PMI? What is mortgage insurance? Because I think they don't know that they can leverage in and be able to put 3%, 5%, 10%, 15% down and still have a really affordable payment.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very driven off of credit scores. So when people are taking a look at their homes, this is a time to kind of look, is there any, derogatory events that have been on their credit? Is their credit cards running 50% balance higher? If it is, get it below. How long would it take to get below?
Exactly.
So, I mean, when they're starting the process, this is why they get pre-qualified, so they can start taking the steps. So then when they go to those open houses, they can feel confident placing an offer.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important to find the right loan officer to walk you through all of that, to make sure that you're clear and free to look at properties and also put in offers for properties.
Yeah. So, knowledge is power, and there's not just one option. Everybody should be getting multiple options.
Exactly.
With interest rates as high as they are right now, inflation's coming down, which will bring interest rates lower. But for now, what a lot of people will do is they could look at an ARM loan where they could have a lower interest rate for maybe 7 years or 5 years before it becomes into that fixed. You could also do seller buy downs.
That's true.
Are you seeing a lot of negotiations still with sellers?
Yes, because right now I think we're still in a transition phase.
Right.
Where the perception is that the buyers do have more power right now, negotiation power, and so sellers are still making those concessions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first time the model of what a seller's market is versus a buyer's market is not working.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
technically it's a seller's market. The inventory is below 2 months, right? And so for it to be a buyer's market, the inventory would need to be 6, 7 months. So it's a seller's market, but it's a buyer's market still.
Yes.
Because of the higher interest rates, they have negotiations. Because a lot of these sellers are pricing their houses with the interest rates that were a year, 2 years ago. And so they need to get with what the buyers are needing. They either need to bring down the offer
Or make
on their
those
house,
concessions.
or they give the concessions for the buyers to be able to get that lower interest rate.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no matter what, it's a win-win for buyers to be able to negotiate, because once those interest rates will go down, and they will go down, right? So with your clients that were coming in, were there a lot that were looking maybe 2 years ago, or are they brand new into the market, the open houses?
There were some that were looking prior to 2 years ago, and they kind of stopped,
right?
Because life events, or they saw what was happening in the market.
The frenzy,
exactly, and they just could not deal with all of that. And then there were some that were just completely new, like younger generation millennials that are looking and wanting to get a start on building their wealth. So they're coming out of the woodworks, and a lot of them are educated in terms of what they need to do. But I do notice that outside of, looking for homes and whatnot, the financial part is where they get stuck, because it's not something that you learn in school.
Right.
It's not something that often people even talk about amongst our friends.
Oh, 100%. They don't even teach kids credit in their school. And all we are is a big ball of credit in the United States.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all about education. We should do a seminar for buyers and invite everyone. I love that idea, and really educate to the masses and put it out there. So let's for sure put that on the books
really,
for 2023.
Take away the fear. I think that's what it's about. Take away the fear, build your wealth.
Right.
It's not as hard, especially if you have the right team.
Right.
Find yourself a good agent, find yourself a good loan officer, and get started.
Right, and think outside of the box, because there's so many ways that you can make the numbers work for you. And I mean, when you look at recessions, this is where wealthy people make their money. They're making the offers when nobody else is making the offers. So as a buyer, this is the time to take advantage, because they can always look at refinancing later down the line. But if they go and they rent, they can't go and negotiate for the landlord to drop the rent because interest rates went down.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's appreciation. I mean, also think about it. If you're buying a condo for $500,000 and you leverage in with 5% down, you're going to be able to have this vehicle that's going to appreciate. You can't go to the stock market and say, hey, let me get $500,000 worth of stocks and I'll give you 5%. It just doesn't happen. So it's one of the best ways to leverage and create wealth for the buyers, so they can look at retiring early and really start to build on that real estate portfolio.
I 100% agree, especially for young folks out there. This is one of the best ways to build your wealth.
Yeah. I think one other thing that people don't know is they also need to factor in their property taxes, their home insurance, if there's an HOA in a payment, not just the mortgage
or
payment
even Melrose for certain neighborhoods.
Exactly. And that's why starting the process so early, where it becomes to the point by the time that they're putting offers down that they feel that they could be an agent because you've explained things so well to them, or they feel like they could be a loan officer because they understand the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are. Knowledge is power, like we said. So let's empower. And empower yourself, empower each other, and continue to build.
Cheers to 2023, the year of power.
Yeah, of empowerment.
Yes. And we're curious. Reach out and let us know what your thoughts are as a first-time home buyer, or somebody that's looking to get back into the market after the frenzy the last couple of years.
Exactly. So comment or DM, and please like and follow us for more.